Good evening. I'd like to call to order today's Plan Commission meeting. It is Tuesday, March 26th, and the time is 7 p.m. The first item of business is the roll call. I am the mayor, Kim Smith. I am here. Alder Leanne Stokes.
Here.
Jared Holter.
Here.
Jan Brock.
Visit.
Tom Smith.
Here.
Eric Archer.
Here.
Bill Lethan. We are all here in attendance. Item 2, consideration and action on the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting. I'll second.
Motion by Tom Smith. It's been seconded by Eric Archer to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The minutes pass unanimously. Item 3 is an opportunity for public input. At this time, members of the public may address the Plan Commission. If you choose to do so, please begin by stating your name and your address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the Plan Commission this evening? Second call, if anyone would like to address the Plan Commission this evening. Is there anyone online, Stacy? Third and final call, if anyone would like to address the Plan Commission under public input. We do have several public hearings on the agenda. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Public input is now closed, and we will move on to consideration and possible action on the following items. Item number 4 is a series of public hearings for the Unified Development Code EDC text amendments to the permitted with standards, principal use, new standards to regulate smoke shops, and a definition. The applicant is the City of Onalaska. So for clarity, each of these sections, I will be doing the public hearing for separately. So at this time, I would like to open the public hearing for people wishing to speak in favor of the text amendment section 13.05.22-1. Just that, we'll do each one of those sections separately. So anyone wishing to speak in favor? Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of 13.05.22. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. That portion is now closed. Anyone who would like to speak against text amendment section 13.05.22, now is the time to do so. Second call for anyone wishing to speak against. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against this item. Okay, that portion of the public hearing is now closed, and I will move on to section 13.02.63. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, now is the time to do so. Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Third and final call for anyone to speak in favor of 13.02.63. Not seeing or hearing anyone, now is the time to speak against this text amendment. Second call for anyone wishing to speak against 13.02.63. And third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against. That portion of the public hearing is now closed, and I will move on to the final portion of this unit. Item 13.05.13. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this amendment, now is the time to do so. Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of this section. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Now I'll move on and ask if anyone would like to speak against the amendment to section 13.06.13. Anyone wishing to speak against? Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against the amendment to this section. That being said, this portion of the public hearing is now closed for all of these amendments, text amendments to the Unified Development Code. And I'll turn this matter over to our Plan Commission, our planning manager, for an introduction of this item to the Plan Commission. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you, Mayor. So included in your packet are 3 separate ordinance amendments related to smoke shops and similar businesses that have come forward as a number of requests of people have been inquiring about having these in our community. Currently, the UDC does not address this type of use. So we are focusing on including this new use as a principal use in the community business district B2 and the regional business district B3, provided the associated distance standards are met. There is a typo on the section 13.02.33. That should be 6.3 for the new standards for the smoke shop. This is similar to a variety of other standards that we have like this throughout our code, being consistent in terms of setting this type of use back from specific types of uses, such as schools, daycare centers, parks, religious institution, etc. If you have any questions, myself or Amanda Jackson, our legal counsel, are able to assist you.
Katie, could you repeat what that typo was? I didn't quite find it in my notes as fast as you said it.
Of course, Mayor. It is correct in the public hearing notice. If you go to the second section where it says section 13.02.33 new standards for smoke shops, that should read 13.02.63 in order to be consistent with the agenda title.
Okay, thank you for that. And it is correct up on the top of that too. Okay. All right, with that being said, what is the pleasure of the commission this evening? Oh, okay, let's do one at a time. How I did the three. Pardon me? Yes, I just wanted to catch. Yeah, so what I was trying to say is I'm sorry. So we're dealing with under if you're looking at agenda item 4, there's 3 sections and they're listed off there. So what we want to do, since I have the public hearing separately for each of those 3 sections, we want to pass or deal with the motion in whatever way the commission chooses to deal with it, with each one of those 3 things separately, so that we can have a unique conversation on each one, if that makes sense.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Bill Lethan. It's been seconded by Tom Smith to approve the Unified Development Code text amendment for section 130522-1. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, not seeing any discussion. All in favor of approving that amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Does anyone opposed say no? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, then we can go to the next one.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Unified Development Code text amendment for 13-02-63.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Tom Smith. It's been seconded by Bill Lethan to approve the text amendment for section 130263. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Smith,
Yes, sir.
Katie, you mentioned that these distances and setbacks are standard, in accordance with other standards that we have inside the city. How do they relate to neighboring cities in terms of distance between smoke shops?
They were not determined by neighboring distances. We were looking to our own code and how we currently regulate distances between uses.
Okay, Amanda Jackson?
We did look at other codes though to see what they did. And so we are not, I think, out of line with what other municipalities have done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there any other discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve 130263. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, 130613.
I'll make a motion to approve text amendment 13-06-13 as outlined in agenda item 4.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes to approve section 130613. Is there any discussion? Not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of amending this section, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, hopefully the rest will be easier for us. Okay, number 5, public hearing for the Unified Development Code text amendment to section 130268K related to the definitions and standards for minor and major home occupations. The applicant is the City of Onalaska. So I'll ask first if there is anyone from the audience or online who would like to speak in favor of this text amendment. If you choose to do so, begin by stating your name and address. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the text amendment related to the definitions and standards. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Okay, that portion is now closed, and I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against the text amendment. Anyone wishing to speak against the amendment to section 130268K? Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against. Not seeing or hearing anyone, I'll declare the public hearing closed and turn to our city planner to give us a summary of this item. Katie?
Thank you, Mayor. So included in your packet this evening is updates and amendments to our home occupation code language, specifically providing some new definitions that encompass more opportunities for how home occupations can occur, such as remote work, people who are doing side gigs at home using nothing but a tablet. And the primary piece for minor home occupations is that we would no longer be requiring a permit application for these. These are just minor home occupations that can be done at home, provided they fall within the standards that are listed. Also in the minor home occupation, we allow someone to use a detached accessory structure if they so choose, before they were unable to do so. In the major home occupation, we have a new definition, and then also allowing any sort of a hobby, craft, or art sale or similar would be permitted up to 3 times a year, which is similar to what residents are allowed to do for a garage sale. So we are just being consistent with our own current ordinances. There are no other major changes to the minor or major home occupation. I would like to draw your attention to the prohibited home occupations. We have a new definition where before we didn't necessarily say what type of a home occupation you could do as long as it wasn't prohibited. So we're now calling out our specific zoning code, the mixed use neighborhood district in the retail sales or services category, as our districts are all broken up. Our different uses are broken up into different categories. If you fall within one of those categories and it's not prohibited, then you can do it. So we're being slightly more restrictive, but we're saying you can't have a bar in your home. So currently it's not a prohibited use, but it's something that probably we don't want to have unless you're following proper licensing. And it's not something that you could do in a residential zoning district. So we're trying to be more clear and concise with what types of home occupations one can do in your home. If you look at item D, animal kennels, boarding, and daycare in excess of what is allowed per section 7.04.11.d. Currently, you are allowed to have up to 4 of any type of an animal. So what this is saying is that if I go on vacation and I want my neighbor to watch my dog and have my dog at her house, this is now allowable. The way our code currently reads is you cannot do that at all, because these are specifically stating that if you're letting that animal come to your home, you are boarding that animal, that would be in conflict with this ordinance. So this is allowing you the same privilege that you would be able to have if you wanted to license for animals. You could, in theory, watch up to 4 animals at a given time. And you still have to follow all the necessary regulations, but we're being more open and consistent with our current code. We also added a new use, which is manufacture, storage, sale of alcohol, controlled substances, nicotine or tobacco products, and drug paraphernalia is now not allowed to be a home occupation. So, I always appreciate it when we're able to have these conversations because it shows that our code is ever changing. And we can continue to find new things that need a regulation. So the definitions included in here came from the American Planning Association and white pages that they put out specifically giving guidance, essentially white papers on how to best do home occupations throughout the country. So that's where these definitions came from. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that being said, I'll see what is the decision of the Plan Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the Unified Development Code text amendment for section 13.02.68 K.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Jared Holter. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes to approve the text amendment of section 180268 K. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, but if somebody's doing a yard sale, they can do that.
Just a standard garage sale. That is, yep.
And
So individuals are allowed to have up to 3 garage sales a year. That's regulated by that's regulated by a property maintenance ordinance. Separate from this.
Okay, any other discussion?
Katie, I'm sure I missed this. So the background on agenda item 5 is the same paragraph as the agenda item 4. That's
That
because
came through and was not edited, unfortunately.
no
That was there.
problem. So what's the genesis then? What you briefed is perfect for me in my mind. What's the genesis for all these revisions? I understand the smoke shop, but not so much this one.
So we had some different home occupation applications come in over the last year. Some that were more clear than others. We had someone that wanted to sell alcohol out of their home occupation, which prompted a revision in consideration of how do we best regulate home occupations, which kind of opened the door related to definitions, what we wanted to prohibit. And then once you started down that rabbit hole of doing research into these different ways that communities can regulate it was where we had improved definitions. And then also understanding that if I work remote, am I really going to come into City Hall and get a minor home occupation permit for that? Not likely. Before the UDC, we used to have what were considered silent home occupations where there was no evidence of anything going on the exterior. You were not required at that point to have a permit. You were just able to operate. So if anything, it kind of goes back to a little bit of how we used to regulate and just being more consistent with our definitions.
Thank you. So I understand this really is an extensive and thorough update of the regulations that we had based on a couple things that we noticed that have evolved into more.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. Any other discussion, Jan?
I just have a question. Had we allowed home occupations in accessory structures previously or?
Yes, you were allowed to do that in a major home occupation. So we had to turn some folks down who wanted to have a minor home occupation in their detached accessory shed because our code did not allow for it. So this is just being more open and flexible with how people can use their space.
Okay, very good. Good discussion. Anybody else? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve the Unified Development Code text amendment to section 130668 K related to definitions and standards for minor and major home occupations. The motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Will bring us to item 6, which is another public hearing. This is a public hearing for a comprehensive plan amendment to update Chapter 3 Housing Element and add Appendix D 2022 to 2023 Housing Study to the 2015 Comprehensive Plan. The applicant is the City of Onalaska. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this update, now is the time to do so. Second call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor of updating the comprehensive plan. That portion of the public hearing is now closed, and I will ask if anyone would like to speak against this update to chapter 3. Second call for anyone wishing to speak against. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against the update to chapter 3 of the comprehensive plan housing element. The public hearing is now closed, and I will ask our city planner, Katie Aspenson, to introduce this item to the Plan Commission this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2023, there was funding allocated to the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, WHEDA, for new loan programs to assist in the development of new affordable housing units. These programs require that the city of Onalaska take steps to, one, reduce costs of eligible projects, and two, to have a housing element of the comprehensive plan to be updated within the last 5 years in order to allow our residents to apply for these new loan programs. To comply with the comprehensive plan requirement, we are looking to update chapter 3, the housing element of the 2015 comprehensive plan, which now describes the 2022 to 2023 housing study that was commissioned by the city of Onalaska and the new medium residential R3 district that was created as part of the Unified Development Code rewrite project as adopted by the Common Council in 2020. Further, the entire 2022-2023 housing study is proposed to be added to the 2015 comprehensive plan as Appendix D to both document this study completed and also to publicize the study. These additions will constitute as an update to the housing element, which is required by WHEDA and will be documented with the Wisconsin Department of Administration. The Long Range Planning Committee met on March 14th and unanimously recommended it for approval to the Plan Commission. As a public hearing has been held, any testimony should be considered before deciding on the proposed comprehensive plan amendment. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Katie. With that said, we'll ask the Plan Commission, what is your desire?
I'll make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment to update chapter 3 housing element and add Appendix D 2022-23 housing study to the 2015 comprehensive plan as outlined in agenda item 6.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Tom Smith to approve this amendment. Is there any more discussion?
I just have a question. On the very back, it talks about the challenge of trying to define rental housing versus multifamily housing and rental housing. Do we have any thoughts about approaching that in the future? It's the last page, assessment of housing is challenged by insufficient data, including no way to classify owner versus rental in parcel data.
There is a way, it is not always the most clear way. When the mailing address does not match the address of the property, there is an assumption that it could be a rental property. But the city of Onalaska does not have a rental listing of every property in our community and has chosen not to do that. But this is one method that we use today, but it could stand to try and come up with other ways to assist and facilitate for that question, to try to find out how much of our community is truly owner occupied versus rental.
Okay, any other questions or comments, Jan?
I have a question. On page 22, it said something about 8 units per parcel that was in the R3 created to add density in neighborhoods. Okay. But then on page, wait a minute, I'm looking at my notes here. Kind of scribbly. Oh, page 54 said the pandemic increased the desire of residents for more space in both land and structure. Are those contradictory? I mean, I don't like density, so that's why I picked that out in this whole thing. You know,
That's fair. So I would say that our community is trying to look at housing for all types. So we have some folks that would rather have larger lots and open spaces, and we also have some folks that don't necessarily want to have a large lot to mow and maintain. So adding increased density isn't taking away from the folks that want to have larger areas and open spaces. If anything, it's the city is attempting to provide a way to delicately increase density in existing neighborhoods while maintaining that neighborhood fabric. So we're just trying to allow for more options. We're not requiring it by any means, because in that particular district, you can be up to 8 units, but you could still do a single family or a 2-family dwelling if you did so desire. So we're just trying to allow for more opportunities to have more basic opportunities for our residents to have different places to live.
I agree with that. I just
Mhm.
think that in the world today, we need space.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, okay, thanks. That answered that.
Thank you. Are there any more discussion?
I just want to say that this is an extremely good document. Whoever people were involved in putting this together, you did an outstanding job. I mean, it's a very thoughtful,
The 2015 amendment,
what?
the 2015 document.
The housing study.
All of it.
Okay.
Very informative.
Okay. The motion on the floor is to approve the amendment to chapter 3, the housing element, and add appendix D to the housing study. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7 is the final plot application containing 4 parcels of land for future residential development. This is areas A and B of the fields at Sand Lake Road. This is tax parcel ID number 18-4515-0, and the applicant is the Fields on Sand Lake LLC. Katie, could you introduce this item?
Thank you, Mayor. This final plat request is to facilitate a development consisting of 14 twin-doe buildings located on 4 new parcels. Lot 1 to contain 4 twin-does, Lot 2, 3 twin-does, Lot 3, 3 twin-does, and Lot 4, 4 twin-doe buildings. There's a new proposed right-of-way with a cul-de-sac for public dedication to service the new residential units. This final plat contains land within our Sand Lake Road PUD, otherwise known as the Fields, and has an approved final implementation plan on file for areas A and B. The applicant will be required to apply and obtain approval for a final plat with the Department of Administration. Looking for a recommendation from the Plan Commission to Common Council. There are 27 conditions of approval for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, with that said, I'll turn it over to the Plan Commission this evening.
Make a motion to approve the final plat application containing 4 parcels of land for future residential development, areas A and B of the fields at Sand Lake Road, tax parcel 18-4514-1, with 27 conditions as outlined in agenda item 7.
Second.
Okay, the motion on the floor is by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes to approve this final plot application. Is there, Katie?
I just wanted to make note, the new proposed right-of-way is to be named Path Place, just for the record. That has been approved by County 911 and the developer.
PATH.
Path.
Okay.
Against that?
I don't know.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Simple.
Okay. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve this final plot with the 27 conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8 is adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Tom Smith, seconded by Eric Archer to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. The time is 7:29.
PATH, yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.